On Friday's show, Jalen Hurts has a new offensive coordinator, new starting center, and a new 95% of the playbook, bro. Even for being in the midst of a supernatural funk. That seems excessive. Here's Jalen.
Right now, it's been a lot of new inventory in. Majority of it, probably 95% of it being new. The goal coming in was to, learn Kellen's offense and master it. And I think that's been a process, and I think by the end of it, I want it to be mine.
Okay. Is good or bad?
It ain't bad. It's good. I'm not trying to do. I wasn't even trying.
I'll tell you that wasn't good.
Yeah. I wasn't trying to do that. I was somewhere confused. Yeah. No, I like this. I think Kellen Moore, I get it. He didn't light the league on fire last year. But Kellen Moore overall has proven, I think, to be a good coordinator.
He has?
Yes, he was good in Dallas. He was. I know they've been fine without him, but still, he did a good job in Dallas.
They did not get better with him. They did not get better with him. They did not get better with him. They did not get better without him. I mean, can we stop with this nonsense? The Cowboys had one season where they just beat up on terrible teams the entire season. Stop with this nonsense already. Just stop it. They did not get better when he left. Just stop it. They played awful against good teams. They got blown out by the Green Bay Packers, so stop acting like it. They actually went further in the playoffs when they had Kellen Moore. So just stop it with this nonsense. Just stop it. It's driving me up the wall.
They didn't look better against Green Bay.
They were great in the playoffs with Kellen Moore, Brew?
They weren't that bad. Okay. They weren't that bad. Who's not new is A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. Who is new is Saquon Barkley. Of course, I got Saquon Barkley now. I'm going to have a new offense. I got a new coordinator. I don't think there's a problem at all. And you look at the schedule. Yeah. They start, Green Bay is obviously a tough team, but then you got Atlanta, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, and a bye week. So even if they're not 100% crisp on the offense starting the season, that gives them time to really get it going. And so, no, I don't think this is an issue at all.
The schedule, the week 8 through 13 is where you have a brutal stretch of games, where the only walkover theoretically is walk.
What are you talking about? No one's afraid of the Jaguars. No one's afraid of the Cowboys. The Commanders. The Rams are a question mark. The Panthers. Steelers. I mean, so like, what do you mean? I'm not saying that all these games are necessarily just going to be complete walks in the park, but like, all of a sudden now, like, the Eagles are supposed to be afraid of teams that have like a quarterback, because the Eagles, even though that they weren't playing at all, firing at all cylinders, they beat the Rams pretty good. So like, I don't even know. No. Disagree.
Washington with a rookie quarterback.
No, Jackson was on there.
That's not, even if you don't like Trevor Lawrence, it's important for the audience that we don't fool ourselves. They were a 9-win team last year despite their quarterback getting hurt. So I wouldn't call that a walkover.
I'm talking about playoffs.
No, not a walkover. I got it. The Bengals didn't make the playoffs last year. I don't think they're a walkover. Their quarterback got hurt?
Well, he actually missed more than
so funny. It's so interesting.
He showed up at the stadium.
And the Eagles made it to the playoffs last season, having 2 fired coordinators who were awful. Why aren't you giving them the benefit of the doubt then, but you want to give Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars the benefit of the doubt for winning 9 games with an injured quarterback? Doesn't make sense.
And so, again, so if I can try to one day have a football conversation, I haven't turned it about Trevor Lawrence.
You're the one that brought it up.
I said week 8 through 13,
make the playoffs. They lost 5 of their last 6 games. So tell me, they're a great team. That's a walkover team that's in the midst of a supernatural funk. Go ahead.
No, you go. Go ahead, buddy.
I'll be quiet. You want to have a quiet contest?
No, the point I was trying to make was, when you go Cincinnati, Jacksonville, Dallas, Washington, the Rams, and the Ravens, the only game in there that you feel like is a guaranteed victory is a home game against Washington. and a rookie quarterback. So they need to have whatever
Start early.
Right. Well, whatever. I'm not even saying you have to start strong. I'm saying whatever kinks in the new offense there are, learning curve, needs to be figured out before you get to Cincinnati, because that's, to me, when the season gets very difficult. So the bye, I typically don't like an early bye. In this case, I actually might not hate it because of the point Brew was making. That's the actual point I was trying to make, rather than argue about Trevor Lawrence and the quality of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, to the bigger point about why is it different. It's different because they are changing coordinators.
Yep.
They're changing both coordinators. And we're just going to have to wait and see, I guess, if Kellen Moore is good.
Yeah.
That is the part where I just disagree. I don't have evidence that he's good. I know that we saw him go to the Chargers and everything fell off a cliff for them.
Oh, my
You know
God.
what I mean? That it was a disastrous season from them. Now, again,
They were injured. Herbert was injured. Players were injured. Their head coach is a disaster. Look, why are you putting that all on Kellen Moore? Kellen Moore can only do, an OC can only do so much in a locker room that is lost, a head coach who they know is going to be fired, who's like a lame duck head coach, who was trying to instill his own offensive philosophy of being super aggressive. We go for it because we're analytics. I'm the smartest guy in the room. Like that again, that argument is just so dumb. And then the same thing with the Cowboys. The whole idea was that Kellen Moore doesn't run the ball enough. And that when Mike McCarthy controls the offense, they're going to run the ball. They ran the ball less the following season. The whole idea was that they were going to run the ball more with the Dallas Cowboys when Kellen Moore got out the door. The Cowboys ran the ball less when he left. So it's just so dumb. Kellen Moore instilled that offense, and Mike McCarthy kind of just took it over. He didn't completely revamp that offense. So it's just such an absurd take. It's such an absurd take to say that Kellen Moore is not a good OC because he went to the Chargers, who were injured and a disaster in a free-for-all, right? Again, I don't know what you expect Kellen Moore to magically be able to fix in that situation, as well as with the Dallas Cowboys, where the Cowboys play only good against losing teams, against teams with not winning records, non-playoff teams, and then against all the playoff teams, all the winning record teams, they do not play good. They have a losing record. Dak's numbers plummet, and they get rocked in the playoffs. And you want to say that offense looked better. Do you know how insane that sounds? It makes no sense. None. And again, I have to point this out. It's so funny how inconsistent Nick is, because now he's acting like getting a new OC is the biggest deal ever. But when we want to afford that to Josh Allen for getting new OCs and having a revolving door, it's no excuses. Josh Allen is supposed to be the difference maker. He's supposed to overcome all that. So which is it? Does having different OCs actually affect quarterback play or not? Yes or no? And if they do, then you have to admit that the Eagles' last OC was not a good coordinator, was not a good play caller. Therefore, he brought down Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. So you can't just say, well, the Philadelphia Eagles were just clearly not good. And if you want to say that it was because of the coordinator, then you have to be consistent in that. And Nick did not give that. He would not concede that it had anything to do with the coaches. So again, that inconsistency, you have to be consistent. If it's because of the coordinators, then you have to admit that the Eagles offense is actually really legit, and you just need a coordinator to be able to tie it all together. And if it's not the case by that, then what are we even talking about? It just makes no sense to me.
Again, some would say, well, their quarterback got hurt at the end of the year. I tend to think that's a legitimate reason for a team to fall off. I know others don't, but they won 5 games even before Justin Herbert got hurt and missed games at the end of the year. Dallas, what hurts Kellen Moore's tenure in Dallas, in my opinion, is he left and they were the highest scoring team in the league. They had the best point differential in their conference. They had in my opinion, Dak had the best year of his career the moment he's gone. You're right that playoff failure happened, but that was a knock on Dak with or without Kellen Moore. So I don't know.
The offense was strong under Moore, too, though, in Dallas.
Yes, but the fact that it got even stronger when he left makes me think, for all of Mike McCarthy's weaknesses, maybe designing offense particularly.
And what happens on this year, the offense with the Cowboys, if it takes a big step back? Who are you going to blame? Are you going to say that it still got better?
Regular season offense maximizing the quarterback is one of his strengths. So I don't know that getting a 95% new offense and remaking those things because you had to bring in Kellen Moore is a positive. That's the part that, for me, is a legitimate concern for the Eagles.
If they start slow, Brew, this will be why. It'll be like, well, it's a brand new offense and no Jason Kelsey.
Well, we know the problems they had last year. I mean, with the coordinators. And, I mean, obviously defense was the major problem. But I expect changes when you bring in a guy like Saquon Barkley. And, again, it's a new coordinator. So, look, they got plenty of time to get used to it.
But I don't think they're changing things because they brought in Saquon.
No, it's a new coordinator. He's going to do his own thing. But I think they got plenty of time to learn.
If it doesn't go, how many games they lost? 7 of the last 8, was it?
6 of, I guess if you include the playoffs.
Include the playoffs, 7 of the last 8. If they lose 2 more, do you think like a negativity?
You mean like right away?
Yeah, then all of a sudden it's like, man, we've lost a lot of games in a row.
Well, I
and
think that
the supernatural funk,
it would be more on
Sirianni. 100%.
Like if they start poorly, it's going to be on him.
But I also think, and we don't ever talk about this, a lot of a new offense and as far is going to be helped along by your quarterback and your center. And the center and calling checks and protections, and all of a sudden having to install all of this new stuff without Jason Kelsey there, that to me is a legitimate concern.
I think it's real. Okay, coming up next, we're talking about game 2.
Listen, I'm not going to pretend like losing Kelsey is just nothing. But the Eagles have been preparing for this. Kelsey has been helping the Eagles prepare for this for years. They literally convinced him to kind of keep playing to do that for the Eagles because Kelsey is a lifer for Philadelphia. So again, it's just that is also being overblown. There's just no respect for the Eagles in this regard, like zero. No respect for what they've been able to do for the last 25 years. How consistent they've been for the last 25 years. How they are the 3rd most playoff wins, only behind the Ravens and the dynasty of the New England Patriots with Tom Brady. Like the consistency that they had, the fact that they won a Super Bowl and then 5 years later with a completely new coach, a completely new quarterback, a completely new team minus like a few players, that they were then able to get to the Super Bowl again and almost win, obviously. So the lack of respect, the lack of trust and faith in Philly that they're going to be able to. This is not a random team who just so happened to have a random good season in 22. If that was the case, then I could understand. If the Eagles were just not a good team for years and years and years, then I could understand. If they were just randomly the Cleveland Browns, the Carolina Panthers, like then it would make sense. I would get all of these arguments. But this is not in the. Nick is all about using history as a frame of reference. And yet he just wants to throw out the literal decades of established excellence of the Philadelphia Eagles. It makes no sense. None. Kellen Moore is an established offensive coordinator who is good. He is not a disaster. The Cowboys didn't magically get amazing as soon as he left. And the reeling Chargers with their disaster head coach, with their injury-riddled roster, where they all know that they have nothing to look forward to, didn't just unravel because of Kellen Moore. Okay? The Eagles, Jalen Hurts didn't just have one magical season, and outside of that, he's just a terrible quarterback. A.J. Brown isn't just a one-hit wonder. Devontae Smith, a one-hit wonder. Saquon Barkley just can't stay healthy. Kelsey's the only center in the history of the NFL. Will never be able to replace him. Just stop. It just makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. The Eagles have consistently been ahead of the curve. whether it be analytics. They're the ones that really set the precedent for going for it on 4th down in their 2017 Super Bowl. Go Google 2017 Eagles analytics. You'll see all their articles and videos with regards to that. They took the league by storm with that mentality. Okay? They were smart enough to recognize, hey, Carson Wentz might not be the guy. They got Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round. That quarterback led them to a Super Bowl and was going to be the MVP until he got injured. Talk about smart drafting. Talk about great move making. Talk about courage. So again, it's just this idea that the Eagles don't know exactly what they're doing, that they're just closing their eyes and just throwing stuff at the wall. It's just insane. And that's my issue with what something like Nick says. Because that's what he just acts like the Eagles are not a bona fide blue blood organization. That they aren't consistently competitive and great. That they're this like clown show organization. And that's just not the case. It's just not the case. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think that this is concerning for the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts? That 95% of the offense is new? And do you believe what Nick is saying, that Kellen Moore is not a good OC and that there's no reason to believe that the Eagles will actually be good this season? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I'm going to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.